Good morning, everyone. Shall we find our seats? Good morning. I know everybody's surprised to see me up here. I know, it's a miracle. My name is Jeremiah Williams. I am on the Modesto City Council. I was on the Modesto City Council since 2022, and it's a privilege to stand before you today. Mostly, if you don't know me, I moved here when I was 15 years old. I've been here 45 years. So that makes me 60 years old. I know I look like I'm 35. No applause, please. But it's wonderful to be here with Catalyst due to the fact that, you know, they've been around, I was checking, about 12 years. So let's give them a round of applause for being here. 12 years. Now, why were they around for 12 years? Because the purpose of Catalyst is what? Who can tell me at this table right here? Bridegroom, who can tell me what the purpose of Catalyst is all about? In 2 seconds. That's great. Give him a round of applause. He's a preacher. He could go about an hour. Our hope. What is our hope? What is the hope of Catalyst to here today? Somebody. Okay, Erica. You knew I was going to. What is the hope beside waking up this morning and starting your morning? Wow. Give her a round of applause. I wish I had money. I'd give that to you all. Oh, and so you can reach us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And I'm sure everyone has already signed in. Okay, if you haven't signed in, don't raise your hand. But please sign in and get that information in. That would be wonderful. Also, we have some sponsors. Our sponsors, Access Capital, for sponsoring Catalyst. They are a Fresno-based community development financial institution. And let's give them a round of applause for sponsoring this. You know, the one thing that is truly important about those goals that we just talked about is people do business with people they know. It's as simple as that. And sometimes you don't get the opportunity to meet someone because you're here, you're there, you're at this event, that event, and you never really get the opportunity to really dive into who they are, what they do, if they're married, if they're not married, all of those other things that help. Because when I ask people about their family, I ask them because then I can actually pray for their family. I can be purposeful and intentional on making sure, hey, how is Joey doing this time when I see you again? Because I want to truly care and do care for each and everybody in here, even the ones I don't know, because guess what? You share this earth with me, and I share this earth with you. And so why not get to know who you are, get to understand who you are, so that I can grow and that we can grow together. So in my mind, that's what really Catalyst is all about. Say that 5 times. At this point, we are going to bring up Love Modesto Project announcement. And I see Jeff Piskety in the room. Where's he at? There he is back there. And I know that Kim is coming up, but I know what I'm doing, buddy. Let's give Jeff a round of applause, and I believe he's in his 17th year of doing this. And so, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, the newest member of Love Modesto, Kim Allen.
Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you. It's so great to be here among some amazing people. And so I am Kim Allen, and I am with Love Stanislaus County. And I'm here to remind you and also tell you that we are getting ready, which is just around the corner, for our Love Modesto citywide event, along with 20 other cities in our area, which is exciting. And what really gets me pumped up is that we're anticipating about 10,000 volunteers in our community partnering with us to be a part of the projects that's represented throughout our area. That is excited. Come on, you guys, yeah, totally fine. So on your tables, there is a brochure flyer that lists the projects throughout Love Modesto. I am excited. These are amazing projects for our communities to get involved with. Now, if you have a project for your organization that you feel a volunteer help would be needed, or maybe you know of a project that's needed in your area that you would like to lead, please let us know. It is not too late. I know you've got the printed one in front of you, but it is not too late. We will help you to get you set up and to get volunteers connected with you, so that way it will be a blessing to you. But I am excited because this is not only am I new on the team, but this is my very first Love Modesto experience. So I am excited. I am so proud to be a part of an amazing organization and to be with you, because I see some faces that I'm connecting with that I know that I've been talking with you. Some of you, I've been stalking you. I'm sorry, not really. But Love Modesto is coming around the corner, and I'm grateful that you guys are going to be a part of it.
All right, love Modesto and love the mic. She almost took it home. Thank you, Kim, for that. And if you don't know what project to sign up for, 7 years ago, Jeff had asked, hey, what do you think what kind of project do you think we haven't done or should do? And I got to thinking, I said, you know what? McHenry Avenue. McHenry Avenue, we all travel McHenry Avenue. And 7 years ago now, believe it or not, it's incredible, we started beautifying McHenry. And we have 140 volunteers. We started out with more, then COVID hit, and then we had to drop down because they had to be 6 foot apart. But even through that, last year we were back up to about 140 volunteers, and we break it up into 3 different quadrants. So we start from 5 Points down to Roseburg, and then we go from Roseburg to Briggsmore, and then we go from Briggsmore all the way up. So we break it down, so then we have those individuals meet in those particular areas after they come downtown for a Kiwanis Brefkes fundraiser, right? Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up. And now that is a donation for, raising more money for Love Modesto, Love Stanislaus, but, right now we love Modesto. And so if you want to sign up, go to lovemodesto.com. That is much appreciated. Okay, now we are now at our table talk. Aren't you excited about talking to your neighbor right now? Okay, and you know that table talk, we're talking about, in your opinion, which cartoon character best represents your teamwork and unity, and why? And of course, what does community mean to you and why it's important? Those are the table talk conversations, and I believe those are the only 2. So I'm sure you're getting ready to put your thinking caps on, and you're getting ready to just have revelation and tell everybody what the cartoon character should be and move on from that. So, are you ready? Are you ready? You guys didn't know you were going to wake up this morning. Are you ready? Let's get ready to rumble! All right, take it away. I'll be back soon. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap that up, and we'll start to move along. So really, really quick, this table right here, the one who's talking and who's not listening to me, this gentleman right here in the blue shirt who has you, yes. Hi. Real quick, stand up and tell us what you had to say about your table in 10 seconds. Well, 30 seconds till we can move on.
Here we go. Part of what we were talking about in the way of community is we use the example, and maybe not everybody knows this one, Captain Planet. Thank you. And it was about a varied group of individuals who all possessed a power, but their individualism didn't matter as much as their combined efforts, like in a community, and it's when we come together, we create something more than just our single parts. With your powers combined, yes. So,
Wow. Give them a hand for that. Wow, that's incredible. I wonder what we can get out of Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble. So we'll see how we can compare that. But at any rate, it's time to hear from our speaker. Our speaker served 8 years on the Modesto School Board. She has and was still is, she's still licensed. So if anybody has some issues, she can help you. She's an emergency nurse, has been for the last 42 years, and she might be adding a couple days to that. Also, she has, who can tell me how many grandchildren? Just real quick. He says, 7. Do I hear 7? 7, is there 8? Is there 9? She has 15 grandchildren. Let's give her a round of applause. That's a good reason to pray for her every day, regardless of the city. But I've had the privilege of meeting our speaker, Sue Zwahlen, when she was running for school board, and she came to the Modesto Chamber of Commerce, and she was adamant about, you know what, I am wanting to serve this community. And ladies and gentlemen, she did that. She did that for 8 years on the school board, and now she's on her second term as mayor of Modesto. Come on up, mayor of Modesto. That's right. We got a standing ovation. Can we all join on a standing? She won her race again. She is going to say more things about herself than I can, but I appreciate the mayor of Modesto, ladies and gentlemen. Take it away, Sue.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. This is working? All right. I thought it was, but just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much for having me today. While many of you know me as mayor of Modesto and have heard or read my bio, as was briefly described, I'd like to personally tell you a little bit about who I am, including what many people may not know about me, and the lessons I've learned to get me where I am today. Believe me, it's been quite a journey, and my hope is that you can leave today feeling uplifted, knowing that you can pursue your dreams no matter what season of life you are in, what age you are, whether it's mayor, owning your own business, becoming a CEO of a company, a mom, a nurse, or if you're retired. I am a lifelong Modesto resident. Is it working? I'll just go ahead. I wasn't planning on checking. I'm counting on it working, so I know it was checked numerous times before I began. So my dad, Richard Silva, was Portuguese, and my mom, Irene, was Swiss German. They went to Modesto High School and graduated in the class of 1944. Are they there? Nope, they're not there. They married and raised my brother and I less than a mile from right here in this spot, in this same neighborhood where I still live today. My mom was a church secretary at St. Stanislaus Catholic Church at 709 J Street, and my dad was a postal carrier. I attended Insulin Elementary School for kindergarten and Our Lady of Fatima School grades 1 through 8. I graduated, do we have them up there? No, still not working. I graduated from Davis High School in 1972. Yeah, there we go. That's where I met my husband, Lynn, and we've been together ever since. Right after school, high school, I pursued my lifelong dream and went to nursing school at Samuel Merritt Hospital School of Nursing in Oakland, California. It was a highly clinical-oriented program where we lived in a dorm adjacent to the hospital. Are they up yet? Nope, still not working? All right. It was a unique experience that enabled me to make really close friendships with my nursing school classmates. Cheryl, who you were going to see in the picture, I was maid of honor in this very church years ago in the chapel right next door. Soon after I graduated, Lynn returned from a 2-year mission for our church in Japan. We were married. I was 22 years old by one day. He was 21. Are they up? All right, so can you go back? Just briefly. As is usual, this worked like as I came in at 6:30 this morning. They all worked. All right, there's Irene, Richard and Irene, my mother and my father. There's me as a toddler. There's Lynn and I at our high school graduation, 1972. Nursing school at Samuel Merritt, my graduation in 1975. Here's my classmates when we graduated in 1975, and then we met recently in downtown Modesto for lunch. So as I mentioned, when we were married, I was 22, he was 21. We spent time in Utah where Lynn finished his undergraduate degree in Japanese and played on the BYU football team. Then Dallas, Texas for dental school and San Francisco for his residency for 1 year. We came back to Modesto with 3 children in tow so we could set up what has been a very successful dental practice here in Modesto for over 40 years. I've been a registered nurse for almost 50 years, with most of my career in the emergency room at Doctors Medical Center. There, I interacted with people in our community at their greatest time of need and saw firsthand many of the ills of our society, including trauma, substance use disorder, mental illness, and much more. I worked part-time as a nurse while raising 6 children, and it was about a full-time job and a half. At one point, we were doing 8 loads of laundry a day, and when it came time to remodel our first home, one priority was a laundry room large enough to hold 2 dryers. While my children were, of course, my first priority, I enjoyed being involved in the community, and I wanted to make a difference. I volunteered in our children's schools, at our church, and for various nonprofits that raise money to meet community needs, serve the poor, or helped emphasize ethnic and religious tolerance. Where are we? All right, there we are. That's the crew. Now we have 15 beautiful grandchildren. They're pretty sweet. That picture was taken at a recent family reunion where it was literally that Las Vegas heat of about 118 degrees that particular day. So we looked a little weathered. It's because we were. A lot of people have asked me how I was able to stay involved in the community as much as I have while raising 6 children. I would say it came down to setting priorities, hard work, problem solving, and learning extremely strong organizational skills. I always wanted a large family, and I committed to myself from the beginning that I would be available for them. So for me, that established priorities. I went to my children's sporting events, and I paid attention to their homework and art projects rather than doing personal activities. I worked out for many of those years at 5 a.m. and was ready for the day by 7 a.m. Regarding sporting events, our family was hyper involved. I counted over 60 soccer teams alone. Football, the boys played freshman, sophomore, and varsity for 5 boys, as well as basketball, baseball, soccer, track, and golf. Our daughter played 4 varsity sports all 4 years of high school. I have 5 boys and 1 girl. She did soccer, swimming, water polo, and track. And she also played 4 years of soccer in college, and we traveled with her. Sitting on the sidelines, what I did was engage with other fans to discuss the latest happenings in our world and gained a lot of insight from them. Moving children to all the activities they participated in could be overwhelming. So from day one, I kept an elaborate calendar, low tech by today's standards, and used it religiously to track where I and the children needed to be and when. I learned to do things like grocery shopping or laundry, things necessary to running a home, quickly and efficiently. I developed systems like my shopping list organized by the store aisles, Lists, lists, and more lists. I could do $400 of grocery shopping, 2 full carts in 20 minutes at O'Brien's on Roseburg. I had it timed. Through the years, friends and our talks have helped me tremendously in every aspect of life, and this meeting reminds me of some of that. These women are smart, strong, and loved. And of course it helped that my husband, despite running his dentist office with a staff of about 20 employees at times, was a full participant in all aspects of our home and family, from cooking and gardening to not only attending but coaching our children's sporting activities. He continues to coach today as a volunteer walk-on high school football coach. I think it's really critical that in our house, problems were nothing to fuss over. They were approached as obstacles to be overcome, and that is still how I see the challenges that I encounter every day as mayor. I don't want to give the impression that everything was easy for us, because it wasn't. We had some significant obstacles to overcome through the years. When we first moved back to Modesto and needed a loan to open up our dental practice, despite being close to the top of his class in dental school and my working as an RN, we were turned down outright by the bank. We had debt from school, we were young, yet we knew we could be successful. We couldn't believe it. We were so disappointed. At that point, we didn't give up. We tried bank after bank after bank after bank, until we found one whose branch manager said yes. We were so grateful to her for believing in us that we stayed with her even as she changed jobs throughout her entire career over many, many, many years. At age 55, with my youngest, so at age 55, mind you, for those of you that think it's late to try to do some of these things in your life, I was 55 with my youngest finally entering high school, so my 6th boy. He just turned 30, by the way, my baby, just turned 30. I decided to take the plunge and run for elected office. I ran for the first time in 2009 for the Modesto City Schools Board of Education, as Jeremiah mentioned, and was shocked, absolutely shocked, to find myself the top vote getter in a crowded field of candidates. I served 2 terms on the school board, and I'm very proud of the work that we did there, lowering suspensions and improving graduation rates. In 2020, I ran for mayor against 7 other candidates. I was elected mayor in February 2021 in a runoff election. I was re-elected for a second and final term last March in the California primary. What motivated me? My primary motivation for running for public office was truly to give back to this community that has given so much to me and my family. There are so many people in Modesto that supported our family and me in my efforts to grow and develop to be the best that we all could be. Whether it was teachers, coaches, counselors, church leaders, or neighbors, I have always felt supported by everyone. The encouraging words of multiple mentors throughout my life gave me the confidence to reach the goals that I set for myself. My 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Fisher, saw the best in me. To this day, to this very day, she still writes me encouraging notes and expresses her care for me every time that I see her. Your encouraging words to a young person may be just what they need to hear to motivate them, to give them the confidence to reach their potential. I encourage you to give that encouragement every time that you have the opportunity to do so. I've always been inspired by others and how people live their lives. My childhood friends on Hackberry Avenue were all a year or 2 older than me. We would have conversations in the cherry tree in my front yard while eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and the delicious fruit from the tree, followed by a drink of water from the garden hose. I know you remember. Those, if you know, you know. I learned from them and from their families. I listened, I watched, and was always curious about life and what inspired others. I love reading stories about people's lives and hearing about what motivates them to be who they are. I've found everyone has a story. My mother worked at St. Stanislaus Catholic Cemetery in the afternoons on Scenic, the one closest to the drive-in. Scenic drive-in. She clipped obituaries from the Modesto Bee. This is when the Bee came to your home. And as a young girl, I would see them on our dining table and read them. I still read obituaries today, every day. And I'm inspired by the lives of seemingly ordinary, hardworking local people. I'm also inspired by those who pursue their goals without needing recognition. One such person is Rosalind Franklin. Scientists everywhere were feverish in May 1952 to be the first to discover the cellular basis of heredity. At King's College in England, Rosalind Franklin, a biophysicist and X-ray crystallographer, exposed crystalline strands to 100 hours of radiation in a series of X-rays. Her colleague, Maurice Wilkins, privately showed her work to molecular biologists James Watson and Francis Crick, who used one X-ray image, exposure 51, to decode the double helix of DNA, the blueprint of all living things, which would unleash multitudinous advances in biological science and medicine. Said Watson later, "The instant I saw the picture, my mouth fell open and my pulse began to race." Crick, too, had acknowledged that Franklin's data was used in helping to formulate his and Watson's breakthrough 1953 theory on the structure of DNA. But why is Franklin not remembered alongside the storied male scientists? There are various views on this. It was alleged that Franklin did not fully understand the implications of her own data. Watson himself wrote ill of her in his book, The Double Helix. There's also the notion that the male-centric world of King's College in the 1950s simply wouldn't allow Franklin to be part of the varsity team, as Crick implied years later. And I quote, "I'm afraid we always used to adopt, let's say, a patronizing attitude towards her." Whether or not she was a victim of sexism, she never alleged it in her lifetime, her too short lifetime. In 1958, at 37 years of age, Franklin died in relative obscurity of ovarian cancer, a condition likely caused, as Marie Curie's fatal disease perhaps had been, by the radiation she had been exposed to in her work. The three men, including Wilkins, shared a 1962 Nobel Prize and lifelong fame as the ones who had cracked the DNA code. The rules of the Nobel do not allow for posthumous honors, and so the name Rosalind Franklin is nowhere in the citation. But her story is a fascinating footnote to one of the great milestones in the history of science, and I'm inspired by her. A lot of giving can go unseen, just like here in Modesto. Modesto is an extremely giving community, a large city with a small town feel. There are hundreds of churches in Modesto with a variety of faiths, and all have giving in common. There are 870 registered nonprofits in Modesto, the most common being religious-based. Our 2024 National Night Out, which is the first Tuesday of in every August, we had 92 registered city parties citywide. We were #1 in the state of California and #6 in the nation amongst cities our size. Our Modesto Children's Museum had record visitorship among Central Valley and Northern California museums. We welcomed visitors from across the United States and the world. 35% of ticket sales are discounted for those in need. The national average is 5%. This museum served over 26,000 children and families the first year. This is just one more illustration of the giving community that we live in. Every transitional kindergarten and kindergarten student in Modesto City Schools will visit Mochi Moo, as it's commonly referred to. Love Modesto. This originated in Modesto and has expanded to over 100 cities. It includes over 64,000 volunteers, 300,000 volunteer hours, and over $9.5 million in service given to the community. As mayor, I attend multiple events, and it is so inspiring to hear comments from people outside of Modesto regarding their experience in Modesto. Thank you. For instance, our Safe Kids Stanislaus initiative provides car seats and bike helmets and Stop the Bleed workshops throughout the community, where participants learn how to care for victims who are hemorrhaging. This began, it's a short little workshop. I would encourage all of you to participate, where we learn how to apply tourniquets for those that are hemorrhaging, and much of this was put in place after the shooting in Las Vegas during the concert. When the first responders, there were so many victims from that shooting, and there was a lot of EMTs and paramedics at the concert, and they literally took their shirts off, tied tourniquets, threw the patients in the back of their pickups, and drove them to the ER and saved lives like never before. So we learned from that if we learn how to stop the bleed, that's my little nursing lesson for the day, that we save lives if we can do that immediately. One California highway patrolman told me that when he is looking for volunteers to participate in these various programs, Stanislaus County is the easiest place to find volunteers. He says dozens of people jump in to help. He did not have that experience in other locations when trying to recruit volunteers. When our police department initiated their Healthy Families and 10K with the Cop program, the coordinator from outside of Modesto said that our participation is exponentially larger and more enthusiastic than other places where he organizes this initiative. A consultant that is helping us work on economic development brought in people from all over the nation. One of these committee members said to me, he whispered, he said, "Sue, your motto should be, you don't need to leave California, just move to Modesto." Yeah. He indicated he had never, ever, ever experienced such a welcoming community in his career. One of our famous visiting graffiti artists that paints our murals, our beautiful murals, expressed that the hospitality given to him in the city of Modesto exceeded any other city that he has ever painted in. Our Downtown Streets team's executive officer said that our Modesto team is 10 times more active than any of the 18 others that he coordinates with. A resident fundraising for leukemia told me that our area, this area, was the top fundraising location in the United States of America. Now think of that. We live in an area where people struggle financially, yet we are giving, loving, and welcoming way beyond the norm. And to top it off, we are one of the few cities that has its own ballet, symphony, and opera. These are people who give their time, talent, and energy to make the Modesto the best it can be. This is rare for any city in the United States of America. We have all three right here in Modesto. The arts are alive and well in our community. A little bit about our priorities. One of my most important goals as mayor was to increase communication, civility, and cooperation on the council. We've held council retreats to learn more about each other's priorities and give guidance to staff on the strategic plan. We are working together, and while we don't always agree, we are all committed to hearing each other out and to finding solutions that are in the best interest of Modesto and all its residents. I'm excited about the prospects that we have in front of us. We have a tremendous amount of work to do, but we have the tools we need to get the job done. I'm grateful for the help of so many dedicated city staff and the hundreds of volunteers who spend so much of their time making our city a better place. Many of you are right here in this audience. We have many committed, creative people in our city, and I cannot be successful without your help and ideas. We continue to work on homelessness with our Camp to Home initiative and supporting our downtown streets teams. And Camp to Home began prior to my time. Doug Ridenour will remember well when he served on the council when that began, and I appreciate that. Public safety is always a top priority, and we are supporting that with increased staffing at the Modesto Police Department and the Modesto Fire Department. Our police and fire departments are both certified in autism trainings. More fire department personnel are being trained in medical emergency response services. So when you or I call 911, you get the help you need. Our engines are being fitted with this new life-saving equipment to also meet those needs. We are currently working on a Safe Streets for All initiative to address traffic safety and car crashes. We are well aware that this is a problem. We are also working on initiatives to specifically address housing needs and what the future of our parks will look like. We have very important decisions to make in the near future and would appreciate your input. As an emergency room nurse, I am experienced at making very important life and death decisions very quickly. When an infant arrives in the emergency room, we have 3 to 5 seconds to make those decisions. In my role as mayor, I depend heavily on your input regarding important decisions for our residents. Please go to modestogov.com, it's an easy one, to weigh in on all the future initiatives that I've outlined today. So as a council, we can make the best decisions on your behalf. Our general plan has not been updated since 1995, and that is another massive undertaking that we are working on. Our vision for a thriving Modesto is going to depend on economic development. We look to be bringing many more sports and entertainment opportunities to Modesto, including professional soccer and potential baseball teams. These future investments will attract people from the Bay Area, Sacramento, Southern California, and all over the Central Valley to make Modesto a destination location. Modesto's thriving largely due to our residents and people like you who gather together to collaborate, share ideas, and work diligently to create a welcoming community. Modesto is a giving community. We want to ensure that the city gives back to you by providing a safe, friendly, well-maintained city with multiple activities, whether it be food, arts, entertainment, education, recreation, sports, jobs, and housing. A functional council that works very hard to provide an environment where this economic development can grow is vital. I grew up in Modesto, have watched it transform, and am very excited for the future. Thanks to the residents who voted for Measure H, we are now able to actively pursue more economic development-driven initiatives. Our council recognizes that we are entrusted with your money, to make responsible decisions with it. I do not take that responsibility lightly. I ran a tight ship at home, and I have carried that same trait with me to City Hall. To hear more about Modesto and what's been accomplished so far, I invite you to my State of the City address on Tuesday, March 18th, beginning promptly at 5:30 p.m. at the Gallo Center for the Arts, where there will be a premiere of a short film on the city's progress with Measure H. I think you will all learn a lot and see what we're really doing with that Measure H money. Please reach out to me anytime. This talk was a little bit about my story. I encourage each of you to look at your goals, desires, and wishes for your life and find ways to achieve them. That may be a new calendar, attending a community meeting, or simply conversations with good friends to figure it all out. Be well, be strong, and confident in your path. I will be cheering you on. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Thanks. I'm off.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
Wow. And you thought you were busy. You know, we are crunching some time, and it's obviously time to do a table talk. But here's the deal. Mrs. Fisher or Mrs. Zwahlen? Which one is important? They both are. Because Mrs. Fisher, her third grade teacher, inspired her to be who she is. And she is who she is because someone inspired her. Therefore, that says, you may not be a mayor, you may not be an elected official, but you can inspire somebody to do the right thing. So get to the table, go ahead and answer the questions that are up there. What inspired you on what she said, and what influenced you to do what you did. And without any further ado, later on in a few minutes, Marvin Jacobo is going to come up and close us out. But please, let's go ahead and do that table talk. You have 3 minutes.
First question I asked at my table was, who is your Mrs. Fisher? And mine was Mrs. Rummel, so Mary Rummel. She told me it went in second grade. She told me on a rainy day that the dancing girls in the cigarette commercials wanted to hurt me. Okay, can you remember the cigarette commercials with the dancing girls? And, you know, they were always beautiful and whatever. And she said, they want to hurt me. And I never smoked. I never smoked a cigarette. Yeah. When I sat down with Sue and we began talking about what we wanted to talk about here, for whatever reason, we talked about, and I said, I want to hear about the humanness, the humanity of our leaders. We do live in a generation where if a mayor's up here, or I'm up here, or you're up, because all of you are leaders, and it's just so easy to just assume, oh, her motives are, well, somehow we've lost this ability to be, we've forgotten how to be civil. So I wanted you to hear her story. And I want to say to you, I want to encourage you, you have a story as well, your journey of leadership, how life has shaped you and molded you, individuals who molded you into who you are today. It's only been recently where I've been able to celebrate the hardships in my life, even though I'm supposed to, and I should, but it's only been recently when I began to realize, oh my gosh, I celebrate the hurt, and all of that happens because I really like who I am now. And I could never be who I am unless I'd gone through that. That's a hard one for me, and maybe for you too, because all of you have stories. But the humanity of leaders, and I want to encourage you, is that with our young generation, and you're all young, by the way, but I want to say that they'd love to hear your story. How did you get here? What happened that made you make this decision? So I want to encourage you to take some time, to find some time, to tell a younger person, whatever younger is, what it was like for you in your journey toward taking responsibility for community life, taking on that responsibility, because all of you really have taken on responsibility to be a servant, whatever that would look like. So, humanity of our leaders. I hope that even around town, whether it's here, any town in the county, that you will stop to consider the humanity of our leaders. Because there's usually a story behind it, not just what the media says, or the outrage industry, because we do live in a very strong outrage industry. So, humanity of your leaders, just stop, have them go to their office or have coffee. Just say, tell me your story. How'd you get here? What made you want to do this? And get some humanity. And I know it's not always, we live in no, I don't want to tell you about our generation. So I want to encourage you to do that and tell your story. And also, she invited you to give input. So set up an appointment with her assistant, Brianna. Sit down with her and give her input. And I want to encourage you, all of you know this, but I'll say it to you. Be gracious, kind, plan your conversations and your questions so you know what you're talking about. And ask the questions. And let them time to think about it. Well, she invited us also to the March 18th State of the City at the Gallo Center. So please get a chance to go ahead and do that and enjoy yourself there at the Gallo Center. At this time, I want to bring up my friend John Torres. But before I do that, John, you can come on up here with me. Wayne Bridegroom, where's Wayne? He caught me just before. In his church, he does have some English as second language learners that are attending his church, and there's a handful of them, and they need some day labor. They need some work during the day, and he did vouch for them that they are strong workers. So, Wayne, wave your hand. If you have some day labor that needs to get done, would you please see Wayne and say, yes, figure out how to get this person to my house, and we'll take care of them. Because we live in a generation, in a season where we need to take care of our neighbors in any way possible, whatever their background is. One last thing, John, before I get you. You're so handsome. I just wanted you up here. Isn't he handsome? So, come on, give him a hand. Isn't he? He's handsome. Am I a jerk? No, you're handsome. Put on the QR code for me, would you, Mark? So we had this idea. I've been reading this book. Well, my wife read the book, and she put it on me. When your spouse gives you a book, you better look at it. David Brooks wrote a book on how to really know somebody. Because of really all of us around the City Minister Network family, we're working on how to ask good questions and how to create containers and spaces where you can have conversations with people of different perspectives. That's a thought. And so you can, talk without having to trash each other and blow the room up and all that kind of thing. So we're learning that and learning that skill. So in the middle of David Brooks's book, he talks about in every community there are illuminators, is what he calls them. Now these illuminators are people that come to your mind when you want to find out about a city or a deeper issue, or you want to have a sane conversation about a hard conversation. Illuminators. Well, a few years back with Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, he talks about mavens. Now, mavens are about giving more information. Illuminators are givers of wisdom and perspective. So, in a lot of ways, they have similarities, but they're also different. Illuminators and mavens. Here's what we'd like you to do. At April's Catalyst next month, we've already sent out a survey to 2,000 people to get votes. And we'd like you, if you have not voted for, in your mind, who an illuminator or a maven is, would just stop and do that right now. I'm going to be quiet. But who comes to your mind when it comes to a maven or illuminator? Who comes to your mind when you think, wow, that's who I go to because they know and they have a pulse of the city? I'm going to be quiet for a minute. Go ahead and vote if you have not done that. You can vote for more than one person at one time. I voted for a bunch of people, so I'll be quiet for a minute. Again, once you open the link, you can vote for numerous people. when it comes to April's Catalyst, we're going to invite them to come and just share their wisdom with us. So I won't know who that is. The voting closes Monday at noon, March 10th at noon. And so at our planning meeting at 3 o'clock is when we'll find out who that is and talk about that. So in some of you, I've already voted for you. Mr. Torres, come on up. Is that warm? You can go ahead. Go for it.
Hello, check, 1, 2. Hey, what's up, guys? How are you? Good to see you. Hey, so that's not my QR code, but my name's spelled John if you want to vote for me. Selfish, I'm just kidding. All right, so who here likes crab? All right, who here doesn't like crab? Raise your hand. We got you. We got tri-tip as well. Who doesn't like tri-tip? We got you as well. We got pasta. We got salad. We got bread. Whatever you need, we have. So there's not a lot of tickets left. If you want to get yourself a spot, please scan that QR code. I don't know if it'll work. If not, go to our website. You can buy tickets there, $75 a pop. If you buy them online, there's a little bit of a fee that you have to pay. But, man, we'd love to see you there. We have a blast. It's a lot of fun. It's a new location. We're going to be at the Veterans Hall. So we're really excited. We upped our game. We're going to go from 200 to 300. So really, really excited about that. So join us. Come fill your belly full of crab. I got a wave in the back. Yes, we do. If you'd like to sponsor a table, you can do that as well. Reach out to me. Go to the website. Hit Mike up. Marvin, don't hit Marvin up.
Don't hit me
He's
up.
too busy. He's got a lot going on. So, yeah, hit me up. Let me know. I can tell you what those sponsorship levels are. But, man, we'd love to have you. Come be a part. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Doug, you've got your sponsorship purchased yet? Doug Ridenauer? Have you got your sponsorship?
The highest sponsor, right, Doug? The highest one?
The
right?
big one, right?
Got you. I already signed you up. You're good to go. We got you. We got you, Doug. Don't worry about it.
I've known Doug for 40-some years, so he's going to get me back. I know that. Well, let me thank God for you. Everybody's welcome here, but I do pray at the end. And good morning, Fallon. How are you? Lord, thanks for this time together, for Sue and her leadership, for humanity that she brings to the table of government leadership. For Jeremiah, what a joy he always is. And Lord, this is always a room of leaders. And so as each one leaves, thanks, Lord, that they're human. I think about this whole comment about unity even earlier, and I know I use the word hurt, and how hurt I've been when somebody says, I'm less than this or I'm not that, just because we saw things differently. Character assassinations and all that, and we surely live in a season of that. Lord, Sue mentioned that Modesto is different. So may our community, our county be different, where we treat each other with civility and model that characteristic of civility to each other, especially our leaders. Thank you for the privilege you give us to be together. In Christ's name, amen. Stick around and talk. And Doug, you can go and write your check. That'd be fine. So I'll see you guys later. Enjoy yourself. And make sure you vote for somebody, because in April, next month, Catalyst, we're going to celebrate those people. See Wayne if you've got some day labor to support the families in his congregation. Thank you.